Hello, our loves. You have Joanne and Elizabeth here with you. And I love talking energy. When you listen to us, you'll see that pretty much everything we talk about, we will discuss energy because everything is energy and there are rules to energy. And if you want to start manifesting your best life, you really should start following the energy as a guide, as a guiding system. And it's really, really cool to watch the energy play out. So Joanna, I'm super excited to talk to you. And all of you listening, Joanna has no idea what I'm going to talk about. But this is a conversation I actually had with my daughter earlier. And she was like, have you talked to Joanne about this? And I was like, no, but I want to, because I feel like it's so relevant to everything we do in life, and watching the energy play out. When you can start watching it, which is what you and I do meticulously, Joanne, we watch the energy every single day in almost every interaction we do. Like, why am I manifesting this? Why did I just manifest that? And when you start understanding things, you can start working with the energy and having it work for you rather than against you. So this is what I want to talk about. And Joanne, you and I talked about this in different pieces before, but I want to talk about it on a new level right now. So there's been a couple of situations where I've been gifted something, let's say a gift card, right? And Joanne, this specifically, you know about this one. I was gifted $25 Apple Pay to specifically use at a certain place. And a couple months passed and I hadn't used the gift card. And so there was something I was going to buy online, and I had that Apple Pay money. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use my Apple Pay that I got, and I'm going to buy this. It was a water bottle. I'm going to buy this water bottle. Lo and behold, the water bottle did not get sent to me. It got sent to an old address. I wasn't able to change or update the address. And essentially, I lost the water bottle. The company wouldn't send out a new one, and it was just like gone. And I sat with that. I was like, why would that happen? Why would I manifest that? And then I realized when the gift was given to me, it was given to me with the energy of spend this at a coffee shop, this specific coffee shop. And I didn't follow that energy. I chose with my mind what to do with it instead. And the universe was sort of like, wrong. That's not what it was sent to you for. And so once that happened, I started watching energy and how things would happen based on if something was intentionally given for a reason and I didn't go through with that, what happened. And so that happened a couple more times when it came to money. Something would be given to me with a specific intention of how I was to spend that money. And when I didn't choose to spend it that way, something would go wrong and it would just go amiss. Now I want to talk about something that happened this weekend twice. It happened this weekend twice. And I want you guys to see if you can relate and if you could start watching the energy for yourself when things like this happen. And actually, not twice, it happened 3 times. 3 times this weekend, from Friday to today, which is Monday. So on Friday, I was going to go and buy my daughter something at a store. And I had the store in mind that I was going to go to. It was a little bit farther away than I wanted to go, but I knew where one was. And so I was like, okay, I had this intention. I'm going to that store. Well, I started researching and I found that there was actually the same store closer. And so I changed my mind and I decided to use the closer one. Well, what happened right after I did that? 1, I get stuck in traffic behind a funeral procession, and not just on one direction, but 2 directions. So I was stuck in traffic for over like 10 minutes, just literally my car was stopped, where I could have easily been at the other location if I would have just gone with my initial gut of that's where I'm going. So not only am I stuck in this funeral procession and stopped, once I finally got to the store, the one that wasn't originally intended, things started going wrong. My daughter, something happened with her and her order at Starbucks, and she came back and she was really, really angry, and she sort of like got upset, and then the energy was just wrong. And I told myself, why is this happening? Of course it's happening because I chose to veer from my initial energy, which was choose this store, and I decided to choose a different store last minute. And then this weekend, we were driving around and we were going to go to this restaurant, this specific restaurant. And we're like, where is it? And we saw it. And then we saw that there was a closer restaurant. So we ended up choosing that restaurant. And when we went in there, the menu was like totally wrong for the kids. It was sort of fancy, it had like duck, things that my kids would never eat. And we ended up going to the initial restaurant. So we had to leave the first restaurant and go to the second one, which was the initial one we were planning to go to all along. And again, I was thinking, I wonder if that's because that was the original intention. If intention and energy line up this way always. So I keep watching, right? I keep watching the energy. And so today, again, I'm driving with my oldest daughter, and I had to drop something off at Goodwill, and I had the Goodwill in mind that I was going to go to. And something happened, and I ended up going a different way out of the shopping center I was in, which took me to a totally different Goodwill that was going to be closer. Again, I chose to change based on where I was exiting of the parking lot. And so I drove to this other Goodwill, and when I got there, they were doing road construction there that the guy was like, you can't park here. You can't park. And it was really awkward and weird. On top of it, taking me extra time to even drive there. And so when I finally dropped off my Goodwill and I started driving home, I was telling my daughter, you know why that happened? It's because I wasn't intending to go to that Goodwill. I changed based on thinking about the most convenient way to get to a Goodwill from where we're at, not based on where my initial intention was. And I said, I know I manifested that. I can feel that I manifested that. So I feel like there's something within us. Once we have this intention, if we, through mind, okay, because I want to clarify two things with this conversation. When we, through mind, through lower fear-based energies, like, uh-oh, it's going to take me more time if I choose this one, I better go here, or uh-oh, I don't want to be inconvenienced. When we start changing our original intention based on lower scale energies, it turns out wrong. Sort of like me spending my $25 on a water bottle when it wasn't intended that way, and I was doing it based on lower fear. Hey, I have this money, I'm not spending it, I need to spend it, and then it goes wrong. So I really want you guys watching your energy. Now, this is what I want to also talk about. There is a difference between, let's say I went to the original Goodwill I had chose to go to and it was closed. What is that? That is soul guiding you, because you're not using your mind to choose or alter something. You're following the path that's being laid before you. There's a difference. So one is you're initially guided to something using the energy, right? Using your guidance system. And when you deviate from that, you're no longer trusting what you were originally setting out to do. Now, if you originally set out to do something and you find that that pathway is sort of roadblocked for some reason, then you've got to be able to surrender and say, ooh, soul must have something else in mind for me. So that's a totally different energy. So I really want to highlight the difference between making decisions based on fear and mind and switching them up versus going through with something and seeing that soul has a different plan for you and trusting and surrendering to that.
So I feel like when we are present in the now and we're surrendered to the experience, we have the most amazing synchronicities, amazing circumstances. We run into people that we were just talking about or was thinking we were going to see, and it just like lined up after one after another after another after another, right? And it's like, wow, everything just flows. And you know that's happening because you're getting all the green lights, you're never late, you're always on time, you are running into high vibrational people, and you're manifesting like crazy. So you are in that state of flow, right? And then there are moments when we forget how powerful we are, forget that we are the creator, and we live life in fear and no longer allowing our inner guidance system to guide us to where we want to go based on that resonance and that inner knowing. And so I will consciously drive further for the experience of the highest vibration. Like I will choose joy over convenience. And I've had that same experience you have, love, where when I'm like, okay, well, I'm running out of time and I don't want to be late. And so for that, I'm
It
going
just made me think of
faster.
something, what you just said. Not only do you do that, I want you to share to everybody what you and I talk about when you choose stuff out of quality over something that's cheap because fear is making you say, oh, let me get the cheaper version. You end up buying the one that's more expensive, but it's quality, and you know that it's going to last you. And so in turn, you have this really great experience.
When you are chasing the joy instead of the fear, you're going to manifest more of that same energy. And then when you're changing up your experiences, which would have been through your intuition, through your inner guidance system, through your knowing, you're now switching into fear. Okay, I'm going to be running late. I really don't have a lot of time. I wanted to do this for me today. Oh my gosh, everybody's doing this. They're taking up all my time. I'm so tired, right? You guys know the drill. The mind goes like 100 miles per hour, and it doesn't permit it, actually. It doesn't stop. And then you take a moment and you just breathe and you're like, well, what do I really want to do? You know what? Like Elizabeth, I really wanted to go to this Goodwill. And if you went somewhere else because of the fear, because of the rush, because of the things that mind is trying to do, you will get brought back to that same spot. And there's so many times when I'm shopping that when I choose to venture out, not through intuition, but because of convenience, I will not find what I'm looking for. And then I'll be like, oh, I should have just went where I initially wanted to go to. And of course, I go there and exactly what I needed to buy is there. And not only that, I run into people. Like I said, I run into people, I run into circumstances that show me this is why you're supposed to come here. This is exactly why you're supposed to come here. And what you're saying about quality versus um, the quantity, same thing. When you're spending things on lack, you're most likely going to receive either the item breaking or not meeting your expectations versus if you spend money on abundance and joy and knowing that you're spending extra to invest in yourself, you'll get more tenfold. And so you made me think of something. One of my soul sisters, she told me she bought these beads from Sedona for her brother. And then one day she woke up and she was like, I really like these beads. I think I'm just going to keep them. So she's been living like day after day with these new beads that she kept for herself because she never told her brother that she was going to give it to him. And for some reason, every day while she was wearing those beads, she started to get hurt. Like it felt like the beads were hurting her. She was getting so sweaty. She was getting tired. She was getting hot every time she put on these beads. And finally it came to her and it was like, hey, what was the intention of these beads, right? Just like the intention of the gift card that you got or the
Yeah.
intention of the initial plan of where you were going to go. Hey,
It's
what
the
is the
energy was
intention?
given, the energy was meant for her brother, and she
Yeah.
then switched it. Joanne, that same thing. So my daughter gave me this gift card because she wasn't going to use it. She added like a $25 gift card, and she's like, Mom, I'm not going to use it. And so I went in online to try to use it, and I kept getting it declined. So I went onto the site. It said it had the money on there, but it kept declining it. And lo and behold, I asked my daughter, I was like, where did you get this gift card from? And she's like, well, I got it from dad. And I was like, oh, okay. And she wanted to buy something. And I said, use the gift card you just gave me. Use the gift card to buy something. And it went through immediately. And I was like, love, you were supposed to have this gift card. It was never meant for me. And that's why it didn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost like the universe knows what things are supposed to go to, and that's where it goes to. And if you try to venture out and
Well,
try to make
think about it.
changes,
When you do something, you're doing it with someone or something already in the imagination. You've already created what's going to happen. Yeah, the universe is like, that's not what you intended for this. I'm going to then sort of throw this fork in the road, because that's not how you had envisioned it in the first place. This is not the right manifestation. This is not the right creation. It's not following the energy that you've already set forth.
It almost feels like that's where you're out of flow. It's like error, go back to your initial plan, because
which shows you it's like this. It's when we say that the 3D reality is really just an illusion, it really is just an illusion, and you're the one who gets to control that illusion. And when you create something with something in mind, you're creating your reality, and then you're then changing it. Error, what you just said, the illusion is responding to the error. That
simulation, right? It's like what you are creating and manifesting is what's coming about, and then you try to deviate or move in the different direction by trying to change gears last minute because of it.
And the program has already been created. That's why it says error, error, error. You already created the reality that you wanted, and now you're trying to switch it up and you're trying to reprogram a creation you've already made.
Yeah. So like my friend who was trying to get the beats was already connecting with her brother. And it's like, why am I in your hand? Like, this is for your brother. So when she gave it to her brother, she was like, hey, this is supposed to be for you. It doesn't fit for me. I was trying to keep it. I meant to buy it for you. And it's like, has to be with you. It has to be with you. So when you start having intention, and this is where soul really comes in. Your first initial hard yes is soul. That is soul. So when I'm driving and I need to pick up something at the store, I go to the store that I know it will be there. But you know what? I'm running late, so I'm going to go to this other store I don't usually go to. Let me stop there. I go there. They don't have what I need. Now I'm running even more late, and I should have just followed with my intuition that said to go to the first store. And when I go to the first store, lo and behold, it's there.
So the difference between you go to the first store and the store is closed, not anything of your doing, and therefore you have to choose a different store, that's when the amazing things happen, if you can surrender to what just happened. Because a lot of times we go to the store, we get mad, right? And then we bring ourselves into this low vibration, like, that wasn't my plan. Why did this happen? Well, if you can go to the store, it's closed, you don't know why, and say, I trust you, soul, what are you going to show me instead? That's when the magic happens. That's when it happens.
Well, if you're following your flow state, you're going into the direction you're supposed to go. If there is redirection that are not from you, they are created for you, you are able to then trust and surrender and watch the unfoldment of, okay, so I see you. I would always go to this store, but you're now making me go to this new store. And from this new store experience, I now met this person. Or because I'm in this store experience, I now realize I needed something else or wanted to do something else. It's like everything is happening for you to remind you to follow your intuition. And when you do follow your intuition, if there are changes along the way, especially when you're following your intuition, it is for you and for your highest good anyway. So follow your first hard yes. And what I mean by hard yes, when you close your eyes and you really feel into your resonance before you even start driving, feel into your resonance with that hard yes. And that's your answer, because you've already done it. You've already gone to the store. You've already went there. You've already the gift that my friend was supposed to give her brother already received that gift in the time-space reality of now. It hasn't happened yet to her, right? As she's observing, but because time is an illusion, when she intended to buy it, her beads that she bought for her brother, there's a time frame where she gave it to her brother, and that's the best match. And so it will deviate. It will move.
That's so cool. It's so cool to think that way, right? It's so cool to realize that's how things work. It really is so freaking cool. I love talking about this stuff.
I know. It's cool to know that everything has already happened. It is happening, and we can surrender to it. We can surrender to it. We can laugh at the energy at play and trust the play that it's repeating itself to.
Wait, so this is why Neville Goddard will say to rewrite your day. Rewrite your day when things don't go as planned. Rewrite it.
Yeah, because we are the creator, right? And because we are the creator, even though we've seen the end of that creation today, we're still co-creating with our yesterday based on how we experienced the day yesterday. So if there was a really bad experience or you needed a lesson to be reconsidered or figured out, if you work through it today, your yesterday is being rewritten for you in the now. Because everything is interconnected.
So quick, love. So I guess even let's say your day when you go to bed at night and you're going to try to revise and do it Neville Goddard style, if you sort of come up with like, well, I don't really have anything to revise it, and maybe go into those little small things that you didn't trust your gut with, or you didn't do that first hard yes, and the little wonky things that happened as a repercussion from it. Like, it doesn't have to be this big monumental thing. It's sort of a, hey, I was supposed to go here, then the mind went there, but nope, I decided to go with my first one. And then you can sort of see how easy it would have flowed that way. And when you start getting into the pattern of that, of rewriting through even those little things, what Neville Goddard said is you're going to be more conscious in each moment when you are making decisions, because you are so focused on rewriting the things that, you know, you sort of allow the subconscious to dictate in your now moment.
Yeah, and you get to rewrite it now, even if the energies are still lingering from yesterday. You get to rewrite them by being in acceptance with them, as though you can rewrite it today, and they do get rewritten in your best and highest good. So this is really cheesy, but I always tell my son, so let's say he's about to make a goal and he didn't make the goal, right? So we go home and he starts thinking, I didn't make that goal. I didn't make that goal. We didn't win. I didn't make that goal. And I would have him night rewrite that experience of him not making the goal to where, what does it look like when you do make the goal, and you did make the goal, and you made the goal? And for some reason now, all of those other games where he didn't, I don't even know. It feels like he's been making goals all this time, because now he makes all the goals. And so it's almost like it rewrote the experience for the reality. And because if we were just sitting on, he didn't make goals, the team lost, it would probably keep repeating itself, right? So it kind of got written. And it brings me to your experience, love, when you backed into your sister-in-law's driveway or car. You're sitting with that, and you're like, why would this happen? Because remember, we watch our energy. We always watch our energy.
I was high vibing after a 5K with my sister-in-law, and when I left her house, I ended up like smashing straight into her car that's like pristine and beautiful and perfect. I backed into it and totally smashed her door. And I was like, why would I have manifested that? I don't understand. My energy was good. What was going on? And that night I went home and I was rewriting it, and I like backed up like to 10 minutes prior to me hitting her car, and because I was trying to feel where was my energy at the whole time, because it manifested from somewhere, and it did. And once I rewrote it that night, I saw where the energy came from, and I saw why I manifested that. And I was able to rewrite it because I was full of fear. Oh my gosh, how much it's going to cost me? Why did I do this? I was full of so much like guilt. And the next thing I know, after I rewrote that whole thing, I called my insurance company. They're like, you don't have to pay anything. We're going to cover it. It's part of your insurance. And it was like, after that, it was like fully released, done. But I know it started from me rewriting and figuring out where that energy had come from, and then releasing that energy in, the now moment that was going on in the past.
And it like rewrote the experience and was able to rewrite it.
So I had this conversation with my person.
He's really open, but not open, right? So he's not as awakened as, me and you are, love, but he's also awakening. And so I share these things with him like naturally, because he asked questions. And I told him, because I was practicing that with soccer, and he was like so against it. He was just like, what? That already happened. It's done. And it was like, well, technically it's still happening. And technically, yes, it is done, but it's still happening because everything is happening now. And so he felt into that, and he felt into that, and he felt into that. And he said, is that why? So he had a really traumatic experience he was in the military. And there was a moment where he was like pretty much almost going to get like out of the military earlier, sooner. A lot of crazy stuff happened. There was really bad things his squad team was doing and leadership team was doing. It just wasn't a good place. And it was a really scary time for him. And it required a lot of, now when you look at it, presence and maneuvering. But in that moment where he was there, it was a hot mess. And he said something like, he had like a mind blown moment in the car. He was like, is that why he said a couple days ago, he sat with that experience and he rewrote it. He rewrote that all the bad things that happened to the leaders and all the people in his team, they all get sorted out and they all get caught. And so that he's not part of the mess and it gets figured out because he never did anything wrong. But he fell into that. And then he gave himself in that moment a lot of peace. Like, hey, just so you know, it's going to work out. Everything's going to work out just fine. You will be honored from this. You know, you'll be recognized, and all this stuff is going to go away. I just want you to know everything will work out. And he kept rewriting it over and over. Like he said, he had to spend like a couple hours on that for some reason just a couple of days ago. But it happened so long ago, and he really wanted to spend time in it. And then he said, is that why I did that? And then he just had a moment where he's like, I don't know, it's almost like a huge, like mind blown moment where he was like, whoa, the reason why it worked out so well was because I fixed it 2 days ago. Like
so crazy.
He pretty much did what Neville Goddard said to do. And he didn't know that. He didn't read Neville Goddard's book and told him, hey, go back to bad experiences that is still messing with you and allow that to be solved through you and then see how it works out. And he was like, if me doing that kind of helped myself in the past, for me to be at peace with it now. It was like a full circle, right? Of the beginning, the middle, and end all happening now. And so that's how much of a creator we are, my loves. There's really no set in stone experiences. So if you are following your intuition, you're following your inner guidance system, and there are things of the past that weren't exactly where you wanted it to be, go back to them, send that experience the way you would have done it all over again, and send it love. Because I swear there was a moment where he forgot all the bad stuff that happened. And in fact, all the bad stuff went away. That's why when he was telling me all these stories, I was like, I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't know it was that bad. That's crazy. And it was almost like, well, I guess it never was bad. Just like I guess my son never missed his soccer goals. He always makes them now. I forgot that experience. It's almost like there's a glitch in the matrix in the system. That's the error, right? Error. It's like we erased it. Like we're the painters of the brush strokes. And if we accidentally made a mistake, we can go back and recolor and align the parts of the paintings to make it look like the error never happened. We really truly feel and become God, right? The God that we are is the creator that we are, that is able to move all energy. Man, this really got deep, love. I didn't know it was gonna get this deep.
It's so cool, powerful. Right? Like so I want you guys to all know, like these are the type of conversations, Joanne, you and I have like on a daily basis, because when we ask ourselves stuff to get deeper and deeper, how do I get deeper in myself? How do I get deeper in my soul? How do I realize the energy that's associated with what I'm doing so that I can own my energy and I can manifest my best life? How do you become the owner of the energy? It's by recognizing where your energy is at and what's at play, and understanding that energy is intended once it's already been created, because energy never dies, right? It always stays. So when you have created something in your mind as the creator, as the God source within, like God says, he wants you to, like, he created himself in you so that he could see all of the stuff in the physical. He could know himself through the physical senses. And so when you have envisioned something, you have now created an energy associated. And when you can watch that and be with it and trust it, like it's crazy. And then when you deviate from it, watch what happens, because you're deviating through mind. That's why deviations take place. Now, if you're doing it through soul, that's a different story. But if you're deviating through mind, through fear-based energies, through worry, through anxiety, through whatever it is, you're going to see that it's not going to come to plan how you created it and intended it.
You become really the creator of everything, the way it was intended, and the way you can still be the creator now, no matter what. And it almost shows your hand on the stick, right? Because if things aren't where they need to be, you can rewrite it anyway. So it's like there's never really any mistake in every experience. Everything is for you, by you, in every experience now. I love these deep talks. I hope you guys can feel the energy. It's like out of this world. It feels so magical. It feels so magical to be the creator, to be able to trust your intuition, to be guided by your soul, and to allow yourself to rewrite things to serve you the best and highest good of all experiences. We love you guys so much. We hope you have an amazing day. Bye, love.
Bye, love.